Hey, Bart. Okay, Levi.
Yep, what's up?
Did somebody let Steve Bixler know how to get on?
I'm not actually sure.
Yeah, I hear you, Rod. What do you want?
Did somebody let Steve Bixler know how to get on?
Yes.
Okay, so he knows how.
I think, well, he was in and talked to Deb, and I know he's got the oath of office papers and stuff, and so I'm pretty sure that he has everything else as well.
Okay, I was just checking.
As far as I know.
All right, thanks.
Jim, are you connected up all right? I see your iPad out there and muted, just making sure.
Levi,
Yeah.
this is Kathy Robinson. Ron's running a little late,
Okay.
so he'll be on in a few minutes when he gets home.
Okay. Well, good. It's at least good to test the audio out and make sure that it works.
Well, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing any more than he knows, so.
Well, you've got yourself unmuted and you're talking, so that's pretty good.
Well, yeah, that's something. Okay, I'll have him check in when he gets here.
Okay, great. Hey, Jim. You're muted right now.
How about now?
You're good now.
All right, so I guess you still can't see me? I thought that fixed from last time.
Can you turn your video on or not? Is it not an option?
Yeah, it's saying cannot start video, failed to start the video camera. Please select another video camera in settings.
Okay. Yeah.
Thought that was gonna fix itself after last time. Okay, well, I guess I won't be able to be on camera. I gotta go get Steve set up. So we'll go in the rooms.
Levi, can you hear me?
Yep, I got you.
Yeah, I can't, I don't have any video of anybody.
Oh, no, most everyone's got their video turned off. Well, actually, not most everyone.
Okay.
What should happen is, are you on an iPad?
Yeah,
The video will, unless you switch modes, the video will just pop up as people speak. So you're probably seeing my picture right now.
yeah, I'm seeing your picture.
Okay.
But it's a still picture.
Yeah, I don't have my video turned on yet.
Oh, okay.
So just a reminder for those new folks that are on the meeting, we're currently being broadcast live on YouTube. So everything you say is being broadcast to the world and being archived to YouTube. So just as an FYI. Well, Bart, it looks like we got most everyone except we do not have Steve Bixler yet. Just as an FYI for you.
Okay, was Deb trying to get him hooked up?
I'm not sure.
I thought she said something about now she was going to try to go get Steve hooked up. I'm assuming it was
Okay.
Steve Bixler.
There's a Steve's iPhone, but I'm assuming that's
Ends,
yeah,
probably. Yeah.
yeah, our city
Public
man.
Works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Deb, do you got Steve all ready to go? Evidently
Take that as a
not.
no.
I did. Agreed. You got any more Steves on there yet?
Nope. Here's Deb calling a second time. Bet that's Steve.
You with us, Deborah?
She's logged in twice, but the other login is still muted, so must be working to figure things out.
We're having a little trouble getting Steve hooked up to the meeting.
Okay.
So I don't know if he's going to have to come in and maybe just watch it on this computer with me, or he's trying right now to do it on his cell phone. He was trying to do it on his iPad.
Okay. I saw that he was connected. It just wasn't unmuted.
It wasn't unmuted.
Yeah. So if you go in there and touch the screen, it should pop the menu up and you should be able to unmute.
It's showing that Steve is connected or that another connection from me is connected.
Oh, it's another connection from you.
Yeah.
So I was
So
assuming
that's my computer in my office,
Oh, okay.
which I don't have a camera on, you know. He would be able to see and hear what was going on, but he would have to be like on a phone line to be able to talk.
Okay.
That
He
computer
is connecting
doesn't
now.
have- Yeah, he's trying again on his phone now.
Okay. He's connected,
Okay, good.
but he's not unmuted yet. So,
Okay, good. I'll go in there. I'm gonna go back in there because he's in the other office.
okay. Oh, there we go. We got video. We're just not unmuted yet.
So he's gotten everything to work except for the unmute. And he's having to go into settings on his phone to unmute his phone.
Really?
Yes.
Strange. It just didn't pop up as an option on his main screen.
Yeah, there was an option, but it wouldn't do it. It said it was
Uh-oh.
unable to do it and that he had to go into settings on his phone.
Okay.
Something. So he's doing that now, so hopefully that will work.
So we ready to go?
All except for Steve.
Oh, he's back in the app.
I make a motion that we keep Bart as mayor. It's gonna take Steve this long.
It'll just be this one time, then he'll have it down.
Steve needs 2 minutes for something.
All right, so you can hear him now?
No, I can see him. I can't hear him. He's trying to talk, it looks like, but I can't hear him.
All right, I'm gonna go check on him again.
That's a good trait being a mayor. Speak softly, carry a big stick. Who said that? Some president did. Wasn't that Roosevelt?
Believe so. Okay, Steve's trying to enter again. So Steve tried to connect and his audio failed. He's trying again. Okay. Steve's connected via audio, it looks like. We'll see if he can unmute.
All
All right. Should
You're
be good.
connected.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
All right. We'll do this with my phone then. Try that.
Success.
Depending on how much background noise you have, Steve, sometimes I mute folks. So far, it's not too bad, but hopefully you know how to unmute yourself.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Bart.
All right, let's call the meeting to order. Just like all of our other electronically held meetings, all motions and resolutions will be done by roll call vote. With that, I entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Jim,
Make
so
motion.
moved.
Second.
Motion by Jim, second by Levi. Roll call.
Hey, could
Jim.
we hold on one more minute? Because
Hold on one more minute.
I need to make Steve a copy of the agenda.
Okay.
Okay.
Is Ron here yet?
I've not heard him yet.
Okay.
Not home yet.
Okay.
Should
Not
be here
home yet.
shortly.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Kathy.
Yep.
All right, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Okay, had a motion by Jim, a second by Levi to approve the agenda. Roll call vote, Jim,
Aye.
Levi,
Aye.
Rod,
Aye.
Ron's not here yet, and I'm an aye as well. Motion carries. Approval of the minutes. Did anybody see any corrections that needed to be made? If not, I entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Make the motion. Levi.
Okay, motion by Levi,
Second by Jim.
second by Jim. Roll call, Jim,
Aye.
Levi,
Aye.
Rod,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. Motion carries. Visitors, Main Street. Kim, are you with us tonight?
I am.
All right, it's all yours.
Main Street. Okay, Main Street activities for November and December. I did attend a Zoom meeting with the Lincoln Highway Advisory Board. And we've gotten the Raymond Conrad Memorial Park now as part of a Travel Iowa Bandwago Passport Program, which means that we are on kind of a Lincoln Highway trail sort of a thing, and people will be able to check in at different sites along the Lincoln Highway. Hopefully this will generate some business for our local businesses. The final walkthrough for the Clarence Motor Company building that was supposed to be on November 10th, but was canceled, did occur on November 3rd. There will be an open house at the building on Sunday, January 24th at 1 o'clock. And the project has been submitted to an awards contest called the 1000 Friends of Iowa. I attended a couple of training webinars from Main Street, Iowa this last month. And then our big event this last month was the Clarence Christmas Walk, which went very well. The evening of December 4th, we did have a little bit less turnout for Santa Claus, but we were sort of expecting that with everything that's going on. The businesses who promoted the business promotion that we offered up did report that it was a good traffic driver for them for the month-long business promotion. And our Facebook silent auction did raise $941 toward the illuminated information sign that we would like to place downtown. That fund now is up to about $1,266. And then that evening, all of the retail and food service businesses in town were open, and they all reported having good traffic and good sales that night. Our committees have all put together their action plans for 2021. And I don't know if you want me to go over those completely. I did submit this report by email. Okay, sure. Economic Vitality will continue to share information about all grants that are available from Main Street, Iowa, and resources. And they'll continue to try to promote the downtown by getting the businesses together to do different retail and dining type promotions. The Design Committee does plan to continue adding to the Vintage Bench project. We'll repaint the Lincoln Highway crosswalks again this year and continue downtown, clean up the curb nights, hopefully add some more every, a little bit all the time to the seasonal decorations, and do a fourth light pole banner that would be for summer, which is that we've got there. Our outreach committee is developing ideas to engage students and more of the community in general and volunteering. And then the board and all of our committees overall plan to focus this year on educating the community about the history of Clarence and trying to kind of zone in on our ties to the Lincoln Highway and the railroad, and finalizing an inventory of our downtown buildings that will include information about what currently is going on with the buildings and historical information as well, and compilation of all pictures that are available and that sort of thing. In January, the Iowa Economic Development Authority Community Catalyst Grant will be up again. Pre-applications are due on January 21st. That is the grant that they got for the Clarence Company. Each city in Iowa is allowed submission per grant cycle to receive up to $100,000 in matching funds. And we were not able to apply for another grant in Clarence until the first phase of that project was complete, which it is now. And Clarence Main Street has been gifted $10,000 from a donor specifically to develop a business assistance loan or grant opportunity. And this was the same donor that donated $5,000 in 2018, which was the grant that we put together for the Uplift Commercial Curb Appeal grant that several of our businesses took advantage of back then. She was pretty impressed with the program that we put together and what was done with the money, and decided to give us a little more. So we were very grateful for that, and working on a plan for what to do with that. Just a little information, over this last year, we did log around just short of $5,000 in volunteer hours. And of course the year's not over yet, so we plan to add to that a little bit. And then for consideration, Clarence Main Street is still in need of a city liaison. That is one of the requirements, so to speak, for being in a Main Street program. So if there's any interest out there, if anybody's ever thought about it, we would sure appreciate having that. We had talked about that needing to be somebody who would be willing to come to our board meetings, but then again, since that seems to be a problem time-wise for most people, it could be something that could be done outside of coming to a board meeting, maybe meeting one-on-one with myself or something like that. And that's what I've got to report this month.
Okay, anybody have any questions for Kim? All right, thanks, Kim. Okay, Adam Schweers from the U.S. Highway 30 Coalition. Are you with us?
I am.
All righty, it's all yours.
All right. Well, thank you. I'm Adam Schweers. I'm with the Highway 30 Coalition, and just wanted to come and introduce myself, I guess, virtually tonight, and let you know a little bit about what the U.S. Highway 30 Coalition is. I've had a few calls from Clarence citizens about what the coalition does, and Highway 30 expansion and 4-laning and such. So I thought, well, I'll just take an opportunity, reach out to the city council and do a quick little presentation, and hopefully that'll allow the rest of the citizens a little more input on what exactly we are as an organization. So just a little background about myself. I've been the president of the coalition for about 6 years, and a member of the coalition for probably somewhere around 10 or so. And I started working with the Highway 30 Coalition as a city council member here in Carroll, Iowa. And for those of you who may not be familiar with Carroll, we're about 60 miles west of Ames on Highway 30. And we kind of act as a regional trade center for Western Iowa. We've got a population of around 10,000 people. I'm originally from Arcadia, which is about 9 miles away. Still also located on Highway 30. It's only a town of about 500. After I graduated high school in Arweeva, I moved to Carroll. Been here ever since. Got into being on the city council just through public service, through my Rotary, and paying attention a little bit to things going on in town. And then became mayor of Carroll for about 4 years. And while I was mayor of Carroll, we spent a lot of time I spent a lot of time with the Iowa League of Cities, and just getting involved in some of the different organizations that kind of drive some of the public policy and just economic development throughout the state. So I'm also a small business owner because, as you all know, as council members and even the mayor, it's certainly a volunteer position. And so my full-time job has been to be an IT provider for small and medium businesses for the last 20 years. I had a company and a staff of about 14, and we recently merged with another company which is based out of Iowa. They're located in Pella, and so now we have a staff of 65. And so I still continue to do IT, just in a business development role as opposed to being an owner. And I also do a lot with redevelopment of real estate. So I'm part of a group of people who purchases old buildings, generally tries to either restore them to their original look or fixes them up to be more modern and useful, primarily focused on housing, apartments, because rural communities like ours need housing, and then we need up-to-date, nice housing to attract and retain people within our cities. So that's just a little bit about me. My wife served as a chamber president, so she's very connected with the Main Street topic, and trying to help out our businesses and a lot with the volunteers and the holiday production that is our community. So always fun to hear about that as well. The US 30 Coalition was founded about 30 years ago. And the primary person that drove the coalition up until I took over, her name was Edith Pfeffer, and she has since passed away within the last couple of years. And was just really passionate about transportation. She's from Clinton, Iowa, and the coalition as a whole is made up of about 40, anywhere from 40 to 60 members a year, paying members anyway. We have about 800 Facebook followers. We have about 200 people that are on our email blast. And since taking over the coalition, I do a monthly conference call, which is open to anybody in the public who wants to go to our website, sign up for the notifications for our calls or what have you. So you don't technically have to be a paying member to still listen in on our calls and find out what's going on. But of the paying members that we have, they're primarily made up of cities, counties, businesses, and then we've also got individuals. So we've got different tiers of membership, and that has worked out pretty well for us over the years. The Highway 30 Coalition is really looking at the state of Iowa and Highway 30 as a whole. So we don't really get into the down and dirty local discussion of what's going on in any particular individual community. Rather, our task is to promote the complete 4-laning of Highway 30 across the state. Many of you are familiar with Highway 20. Highway 20 has been in the works since the 70s and was recently finally completed, totally 4-laned across the state back in about October of 2018. So that corridor is now complete. Highway 30, as it spans about 12 counties and 330 miles, we've probably got somewhere around 120 miles of remaining road that is not currently in the Iowa DOT program for 4-laning. And so the Highway 30 Coalition has established 3 main priorities, which we attend all of the Iowa DOT meetings every month. We present to their public input meetings throughout the year. They generally have 4 of those traveling meetings. So I get a lot of windshield time in as I tour the state and do presentations to them. Ultimately, the DOT Commission is the body of folks who make the decision on what the Iowa DOT is going to spend their money on every year. And so they vote on a 5-year plan every year, about first quarter, second quarter, they finalize it. And that kind of drives them forward as to how they're going to either repair roads, repair bridges and culverts, deal with aviation, railroad, as well as road expansion and pavement management. So we attend those meetings. We're continually having dialogue with them. And back in about 2018, we were at a public meeting, public input session in Shenandoah, Iowa. And at that time, we got the DOT Commission to vote in favor of 3 priorities, which we brought before them: the 4-laning of Lisbon to DeWitt, the 4-laning of Ogden to Carroll, and the flood mitigation and bypass of Missouri Valley on the far western side of the state. So Missouri Valley, I don't know if any of you are familiar with that town at all. It's located over by I-29. It's part of Iowa Great Places. There's a number of different things going on there with the Luss Hills and the Missouri River, but their community was about 60 to 70% in a floodplain. And so they've really struggled with that over the years. They also have about 900 semi-trucks drive through their town every single day. And the way Highway 30 cuts through the community, the setbacks of the buildings are literally a small sidewalk off of the roadway. And with all of the vibrations of the trucks, they're starting to see the foundations of their buildings literally starting to collapse. So from a long-term community interest, they were interested in seeing a bypass of the community to protect the integrity and the structural integrity of the buildings. The reason they have so many trucks go through there is Blair, Nebraska is just 20 miles or so down the road, and there's a tremendous amount of agricultural trucking of cattle, hogs, grain, and soybeans back and forth across the border there. So we've been lobbying and helping them get a flood mitigation plan approved with the Army Corps of Engineers and the state of Iowa to put together a flood mitigation plan, and then to incorporate a bypass of the community as well to help with the structural deficiencies that are now occurring in their downtown. And we're happy to say that that has now been put into the DOT's 5-year plan. And they're starting to move ahead on that. It'll be probably 2025 to 2027 before anything is done. So these things take a lot of time. Circling back then, it takes me back to where Clarence is located, Lisbon to DeWitt. I'm sure some folks have some familiarity. A while back, there was a planning and environmental linkage study that was done by a company, a firm called Jacobs Engineering out of Des Moines. They were commissioned by the Iowa DOT to study that remaining 40 miles from Lisbon to DeWitt, which is not 4-laned. And through that process, it was discovered that a lot of the input provided to Jacobs leading into the study seemed to be that the state was not very interested in spending any money on that corridor. And so from that study came the recommendation to do a Super 2 road instead of a 4-lane road. And so the Highway 30 Coalition has reached out to the state of Iowa as well as a number of leaders and let them know that we are not interested in seeing a Super 2 from economic development's sake. And so I'll stop quick just to kind of pause, make sure that my mic is working. Can you all still hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I've had that happen and I hate it. So I just wanted to make sure. So when we talk about 4-lane as an organization, a number of our membership that are involved with this are probably the economic development arms of your counties. So if you're part of any type of a regional economic area, usually those folks are going to be the ones that are going to be thinking more about 4-lane roads and things of that nature. As a city council member in Carroll, I wasn't necessarily paying attention to whether or not I was getting a 4-lane road connected to me in Ames, Iowa. I was more concerned about making sure we had proper water distribution and our sanitary was up to date and our parks were getting taken care of and you name it. So I know where you guys are probably oftentimes most of your discussion is, but from an economic development perspective, we have been told that site selectors and economic development folks one of the top items that is on any list of possibly looking at bringing a business to a community is that it have a 4-lane road. And so we know that site selectors have that as a very high criteria. Oftentimes, unfortunately, then that discounts or eliminates some of our rural communities from ever having a chance at bringing somebody with a 40 or 50 person job situation, possibly a 400 person job situation. More importantly, other studies are now showing that the Iowa Workforce Development has stated that workers will commute an additional 20 miles further if they're able to travel on a 4-lane road. That really becomes interesting to a number of our employers. Specifically, even I can tell you in Carroll, our unemployment is about 2%, meaning we need more people to fill all of the positions that we have available at any given time. And the only way that we can get people here is for them to drive. We're not necessarily looking for them to always move. I also believe, and I think you've probably heard a lot of the studies, what is believed post-COVID is that there's going to be even more flexibility to allow people to work from home. So folks that are talking about community development now are stating as long as you've got pretty good broadband in your community, there's a good chance that people might look to live in your communities, even though they're only towns of 500 like I came from, or 1,000 or 2,500, because they're able to telecommute and only drive into the larger metro area on an as needed basis. So I would think, from Clarence's perspective, you're only 36 miles from Cedar Rapids. If somebody knew that they could hop in their car and be in Cedar Rapids safely without being stuck behind 18 cars going 45 miles an hour, or that they weren't going to be, even in a snowstorm, being on a 4-lane road a lot of the time is better off than being on a 2-lane road. But there's just a lot of different factors that go into that.
You mind if I chime in for a second?
Sure.
I think in general, certainly our community is for a 4-lane road. I mean, getting a 4-lane out here, I think could certainly benefit us. I think really, at least my perspective is a Super 2 through our downtown is not something we're interested in at all. It's going to be, I think we're going to suffer the same things in terms of structural integrity to our downtown buildings. It's going to tighten our downtown, and many of our businesses will lose their parking. So I think in general, a 4-lane is a great thing for our community. I think a Super 2 is something we certainly are not interested in at all. It's going to put a lot of our businesses probably, possibly out of business. And I think it's just not good for the community in general. It's going to be dangerous. So
you're thinking that what would your recommendation be for 4-lane?
Just bypass the town, go have an off ramp or something and bypass through our either north or south.
Okay.
A Super 2 through our downtown district is not going to be a good thing for our community, if you ask me. It's already dangerous to try to get across the road down there, and it's going to be very tight, which means we're probably going to end up having to possibly tear down portions of our downtown district, which I think does not align to what we want to see. I mean, speaking for myself and, even our current mayor, we have businesses right on the street on either side. And I think it's going to be very, very impactful to our community if a Super 2 had come through the downtown district.
Okay. Well, that's great feedback, because that's the kind of thing that we're looking for. Not necessarily because we're going to dive in the weeds. Truly, your community is going to be able to provide the feedback. Should we be able to take the next steps to get where we need to go? From our coalition's perspective, we're just acting as a collective voice for all the communities and all the counties across Iowa, saying this is good for the state, this is good for our communities. We really want to see this done. Please spend the money, DOT. But when it gets down to the individual communities and how to treat the corridor, that's where input from folks like yourself are going to be important. I've heard, over the years, sometimes there's folks that have a misconception that perhaps bypassing the community is going to be a bad thing for them. And so we're sensitive to that as well.
Yeah, and I think we understand that being able to get to and from major cities is going to be a benefit to our community. But I mean, I think you're going to find support for the 4-lane is going to significantly dwindle in our community if they put a Super 2 down through it. Because if they're going to do that, I think the support for it does not exist in our community.
Sure.
So,
And I think when we talk about Super 2, there's lots of different Super 2 designs out there. So originally, what we have talked about is kind of what we call our rural 4 concept. And with the rural 4 concept, you're essentially taking a 4-lane road up to about, maybe a half mile outside the town. And then you neck the 4 lanes down to 2. You take the 2 lanes through the community. And then on the other side of the community, you open it back up and go back out to 4. They did a little bit of that on Highway 20 up towards Correctionville and in that area. And the reason they did that was, I believe that there was at the time probably some fear that by going around the community, they were concerned about, their place in the world, but also cost. They didn't have to do overpasses. They didn't have to do off ramps. They didn't have to do with a lot of property, quite as bit of property acquisition, disruption of farm ground and cutting up of ag land is oftentimes also a slippery slope to navigate on these types of things. So I think that was kind of the driving force there.
I think what you'll find in our area though is that the farmers probably aren't going to be all that. They're not going to like having their farm fields taken away to put a road on. So I mean, it's kind of a two-edged sword here in the sense that we in the downtown community, we don't want to see a Super 2, but I'm assuming the farmers also don't want to see their farmland get taken by the state to put a road. So
if you leave Highway 30 through the town as it is, would you be fine?
What's that?
If you left just a 2-lane road running through Clarence just as it is that okay?
Well, I mean, it really depends on the traffic, because if people get in a road that they think is 4-lane and they neck it down to 2-lane, what you're going to have is speeding and a hell of a lot of traffic coming through our downtown, which can be good and bad, but I'm assuming it's probably going to be bad if it's 4-lane traffic amounts.
Sure.
From a community perspective, we don't want a Super 2. The farmers probably don't want a 4-lane outside in their fields.
Right. And so I think that's probably a discussion. Maybe, I don't know how you guys, if your council gets together with the supervisors, if you guys have got a regional planning group that gets together to discuss these types of things and how to, get people together. But I think that would be a really big thing for you guys to probably be thinking about pulling off at some point, because all I know is that most of our communities are going to continue to see declining population and consolidation of schools unless we do some of these types of things to try to keep our communities alive. And so we're really just as concerned about making sure that the population of Iowa is able to, at least the communities in Iowa as they sit, can remain intact. And so that's another thing that we're thinking big picture on the road as a whole. But when you talk about when you get down into the weeds of trying to figure out what's going to be best, I think the conversation needs to be not whether or not you're going to do the bypass or the road through town, but how do we get a 4-lane to our area to keep people living here, maintain businesses here, give us a chance to attract more people? How can we get a conversation that is all about how do we move forward and make this happen? that's a tough
I agree
thing.
with your premise of the statement. The real issue we have is I think a Super 2 destroys portions of our downtown, and I think we have less business. So from our perspective, we're going to see a degradation of our community due to this project rather than an improvement. So I mean, that's what you're probably going to see from the residents of this particular area.
Okay.
Not to belabor the point, but that's, I mean, most of our businesses are right on that road that we would consider a Super 2 on, and that's going to be hugely impactful for our ability to support businesses unless we
Sure.
relocate. So
Right.
if we want to start talking about things like that, then that's a conversation we can have. But if we're going to run a Super 2 and we're going to tear your buildings down, or we're going to run roads right up next to your buildings, not interested.
Yeah, and that's never been what we were interested in either. I think the big idea that we had is neck it down to 2 so that you just keep your businesses. We don't have to go around the community and purchase a lot of land, and you try to answer both sides of the coin. What becomes harder is to answer the what if traffic counts tick up so much more, and we get concerned about safety and things of that nature. How do you deal with that as a community? And we've talked about it a little bit in Carroll too. Like, we have people that are adamant about not bypassing Carroll. Now, Carroll's different because we have a 4-lane that runs through Carroll. So it's 2-lane to Carroll, it's 4-lane through it, and then it's 2-lane on the back side of it again. So
Carroll's unique in a sense. You guys are the only other city on the entire of Highway 30 that have it running through their downtown district. Everything else has already been bypassed except for Clarence, Iowa.
yeah, for the most part. Yeah. And I think the thing that we ran into though is people don't want to bypass Carroll, but pretty much every transportation planner tells me, you know what? Get the 4-lane road run up to Carroll. If your guys' traffic counts continue to go up and up and up, and the city decides that it's a huge hazard to have all these trucks and vehicles moving through it, then go to the DOT and ask them to do a truck route that goes around the community. Communities that we've seen in Missouri and Kansas and other folks have done the same thing, where they just do a truck route and they direct traffic around the community that way. Still leave the 4-lane running through the community and do something along those lines. So I'm not really a engineer by trade or anything about that nature. We just kind of talk about these things and try to come up with solutions.
Okay. Well,
but the main thing I wanted to make sure I was conveying to everybody tonight is that we are definitely not the organization that's trying to close downtown businesses or cause tremendous disruption in your community. And the phone calls that I had taken, which prompted me to reach out to your city clerk, was that there was this petition and this coalition of people was going to try to knock down a bunch of people's houses, and we were concerned about kids getting hit by cars. And I'm like, that's not what our coalition is talking about. Those types of discussions and how the planning and the look of things goes is all developed through the DOT, and as a coalition, we're just trying to get the 4 lanes done.
I agree, but I mean, by default, if they decide that that's the best path, your commission then becomes the group that would be trying to degrade our downtown. Even though you didn't have any input into the plan, you'd be that people. So it depends on how this plan goes and how much support you're going to get from us.
Sure. Is there any other questions or anything from anybody here? Otherwise, I would just encourage you guys to, if you want to sign up for our e-blast or ever sit on our meetings, like I said, they're open. Generally speaking, I think it's the second Thursday. It's the second Thursday of the month at 11 o'clock. And then generally the DOT commission meets on the second Tuesday of the month. And once again, we do everything via conference call, always have, because our company or our commission is statewide. And so you can just hop on a call and spend a half hour and keep up with what's going on. But at the end of the day, that's kind of what the overarching goal is. The state of Iowa has made a tremendous investment in 4-laning from Ames to Lisbon, basically, over the last 30 years, due to the efforts of this coalition and its previous president. And so the coalition now is just trying to figure out a way to finalize that last 40 miles, because as we look at trucking, just in moving product in general, if you take Highway 30 from Ames, Iowa, basically the center of the state, to Chicago, and we have a 4-lane 30, it's going to save pretty much everybody in the trucking industry about an hour and a half on the road. And that becomes a pretty important thing when we talk about locating warehouses, distribution centers, cost of doing business. So there's a lot of those types of things that we will benefit from. And Highway 30 is still the most populated corridor in the state of Iowa outside of Interstate 80. And so we've got the most businesses, we've got the most people, and we've got the most traffic count. So it's actually quite unique that we haven't seen this already, that Highway 20 would have been built before they completed Highway 30. And as we talk to the DOT, they get pretty concerned also about the fact that every time the interstate closes down, they route traffic up to 30. And 30 right now is not really built to handle all of that rerouted traffic. So becomes a pretty big safety concern on both ends. So thank you very much for your time tonight.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. All right, is Paul Nelson with us? Evidently not.
Yeah, I did not see a Paul Nelson join the meeting.
Okay. If not, we'll go on to utility billing hearings. Do we have any?
There were
Deb?
none requested. None.
All right. Nuisance abatement hearings, if any. Correct me if I'm wrong, Deb, but how was today the last day that Mr. Nelson had to?
Yes.
And from what I see, I don't see much that was done there. Kyle, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here. I guess I was curious what he had to say at tonight's meeting.
Well, yeah. Deb, he talked to you. Can you kind of fill us in on kind of what he was
Well, he
thinking?
had wanted to get a letter from the city so that he could have a used car lot there and a recycler's license for the location. And I suggested to him that he talk to the council about that.
And that is business commercial, right?
It's zoned, yes, it's zoned commercial there.
Okay.
I guess that's kind of the issue we have with the nuisance, is that what we send him the nuisance abatement for is exactly what he's in the same process of applying for a license or letter to do. So we're kind of, I guess we have to decide what we're going to do.
Well, if that's a commercial property, we really can't tell him he can't have a used car lot, right?
Well, if you read the business commercial zoning ordinance chapter, it's not super well written or super clear, as we've run into with some of our other ordinances. But basically, outdoor sales and service are an accessory use to business commercially zoned properties. And then there's a special exception paragraph that allows for specifically outdoor storage or outdoor sales, which I think this would probably fall under primarily outdoor sales. But I don't think in the past with our other car dealerships, like Tynes or Stockyard or Kenyon, we've required anything other than to be business commercial, and they've done, we've approved their car lots.
Right.
So I don't see how this would be any different.
Right.
If that's, he's going to
Jim.
run a used car lot, that would kind of be, there he is, he's selling the cars we're trying to have him abate the nuisance on at the same time. But those cars, if he has a used car lot, are going to be licensed to, whatever his car lot business is, rather
Right.
than unlicensed broken down vehicles like we abated him on.
Jim, I have a question. The issue of recycling vehicles, isn't that more like a junkyard than it is a car dealership?
Yeah, if he's meaning recycling vehicles is in a junkyard, that is not permitted unless it was industrially zoned, and that's not under the business commercial. So if he's thinking junkyard recycling, it would not be allowed. But Deb said when I talked earlier today that he needed the recycling thing so he could sell car parts online. And I don't know if
Wait,
that's
is it
the
an
same,
iPhone? I have one.
I don't know if that's the same meaning or not, but that's what he told Deb he needed that recycler's license for.
Hey, I have to slip into my office for just a minute. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I think that's really the issue I have. Like, if he wants to put the car dealership down there, probably fine. But yeah, that auto recycling seems like a slippery slope of, I don't
Yeah,
know.
we kind of went through that once already.
Yeah. So we need to clarify that if that's not going to be a junkyard, that we're not going to have broken down vehicles sitting there, that if it's car parts, great. If it's broken down vehicles, not interested.
Right, exactly. I agree.
Yeah, that makes
Bart.
sense. I think, and he explained it to Deb. I was hoping he'd be on here, but he said he was trying to sell car parts online and needed that recycler's permit.
Hey, Kyle, it's Rod. Kyle,
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, I'm back.
what's probably going to happen is he's going to get a bunch of used cars that's not drivable, and they're going to sell the parts off them, like all these, like Sunline, portable,
Right.
built Cedar Rapids. That's what's going to happen.
It's going to turn into a junkyard is what's going to happen.
Well, that's why they buy these cars that don't run, and then they sell the parts and make money off of them.
Right.
Yeah, that would be the concern with allowing that recycler's license.
Yep.
But I was hoping if Paul was here, you at least could have the conversation with him, as far as what his plans are. I don't know.
Right. So then, as a council, then are we just going to, because technically today was the day, just wait until we hear something from him, or wait till the next council meeting, or what do you want to do?
I mean, it seems like we have to force a little action here, because this is the second council meeting in a row that he was unable to attend, correct?
I think he drives,
No,
I think he drives semi. But I think his son lives there, doesn't he? I don't know.
Paul's an over the road trucker and his son is working down there, but I don't know if he's living there.
Yeah. Well, then maybe we try to get a hold of his son and have him come to a meeting.
I don't think there's going to be much of the talker on the issue.
Is Jim, what about the abatement though, nuisance? We've got to either continue or take some type of action, don't we?
Well, I would think so.
I would think continuing it for a month to see what he says makes sense, just because, like I said, we're kind of doing a nuisance abatement on the same thing that he's trying to get permission to do with the used car lot.
Okay, that's fair. But it's not entirely clear to me what we're trying to abate. Are we trying to abate broken down, undrivable vehicles? Or are we trying to abate vehicles that he's trying to sell?
Broken down ones.
I think when Bart took the pictures and sent him the abatement notice, he had, according to my count, 7 or 8 vehicles there. And when I drove by yesterday, he had 3 sitting outside. But none of them were licensed, but he also doesn't have them licensed because he doesn't have the car lot up and running.
Yeah, my take is that, are we trying to abate something that we're going to deny because we're not interested in having an auto recycler? Or are we abating vehicles that he's just trying to move in some term of a sale? If it's a vehicle we're moving in terms of a sale, then yeah, not a big deal. If it's vehicles we don't think we're going to want because they're broken down vehicles, would it not make sense to just abate them at this point? That's the question.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I was hoping he'd be here.
Okay. I mean, I guess we can give a continuance, but I think we kind of got to decide by next month if we're gonna.
Jim, that's what I agree with, because it looks like to me he's putting the cart before the horse.
Right. That was my concern. If he wanted to do this, I don't know why he didn't come to the council way before we had to send him an abatement, but.
When he originally bought that building or is renting it, he told us that he was going to be installing breathalyzers for in vehicles when we put his water meter in. So I don't know if that went by the wayside or what the story is there, but that's what he told us when he first moved in there. So
Yeah, when he bought it, I had the impression he was just going to be working on cars and maybe selling the occasional car that came through.
Well, we've gotten about 3 or 4 different ideas of what he says he's going to do. I think Kyle's right. I think we just continue it to next month, but we definitely need to make a decision next month. And he definitely needs to come to the council meeting if he's really serious.
Right. I agree.
Yeah, I agree with you as well, Jim.
I'll make a motion. We continue it to next month, next council meeting.
Rod, I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Jim, second by Rod to continue the abatement. Roll call, Jim,
Aye.
Levi,
Aye.
Rod,
Aye.
Ron, you with us yet? Nope.
Yeah, he's
And I'm
muted
an aye as well.
right now.
What's that?
He's
There.
muted.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I had unmuted. I didn't realize I was muted. Yeah, I
Okay.
say aye on. Go ahead with.
All right. All
Hey,
right,
Ron,
I'm an
what
aye
time
as well.
did you arrive? I'll need to put that in the minutes.
Right when Kimberly was giving her talk.
All right, so just like about 6:30-ish or?
It's about 20 after 6, I think.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right, old business, other nuisance abatement follow-ups, if any. I don't believe we have anything on that. Discussion with
No.
ambulance coordinator, Brittany.
Hi, yes. Okay, so we had 11 calls for the month of November. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep, I hear you fine.
Okay, and so far for the month of December, we've had 7 calls with three of those being today before noon. So we've been pretty
Wow.
busy today.
Wow, I guess so.
Yeah, so we've had one new member join in November. And we have 2 potential new members. We're waiting on their apps to be returned to get them on at our January meeting. We have an EMT class that's going to start here that we're hosting January 25th, and we're hoping to get both of those into that class as well so that they'll be EMTs for Clarence. One of the things that the service wanted me to do when they hired me was to get them more involved in community projects. So we joined with several of the other ambulance and fire departments throughout Cedar County in a project called Operation Giving for a Cause. We put flyers up around town, and then it was also posted to our ambulance website, residents of Clarence, Iowa, and I believe it also got put on the city's webpage as well for Facebook. So what it is local fire departments and EMS departments adopted all of the nursing homes and assisted livings within Cedar County, and they're giving them a gift to every resident, which is 326 residents throughout Cedar County. We also partnered with Raining Rose out of Cedar Rapids, and they did a donation of lip balms for every resident. And then all of the schools within Cedar County also got involved, and their students from elementary to high school colored pictures, did art projects, and wrote letters to go into the gift bags for all of the residents so that they would get something for Christmas, since this will be the first Christmas during COVID that they really won't get to visit with their families because of the governor's proclamation. So we got involved with that. We got donations, and then we also got some monetary donations to purchase things that we didn't have. And then in addition to that, we also did 4 bells off of the Christmas tree. So we did 2 girls and 2 boys, and we'll deliver those tonight to go get delivered for that as well. And then they also requested that we do a blood drive. So we're gonna contact the American Red Cross to set up a blood drive to be hosted at our ambulance department at the beginning of next year. So I should be bringing the date for that to our next meeting. We are looking at finding out if the city council is interested in extending the sewer line closer to the ambulance building in the near future, because we would like to connect into that if possible. Do you know if there's any plans on extending the sewer line past Sunstop at this time?
Steve, do you know anything about that? Steve, you there?
He's on mute right now, and it's no video, so he might be away.
Oh, all right.
I'm
He
here.
would probably.
Oh, he's here.
What's up?
They're asking about, is there any plans in the near future to extend the sewer line from past Sunstop out to the ambulance building?
Not that I'm aware of.
I mean, is it something that can be done and feasible to do?
I would almost guess that they'd probably need a lift station. I mean, I don't know how deep the sewer is at Sunstop, you know, for as far as gravity feed goes. It's possible. I mean, we'd have to look into it, probably see what the depth is there and what it is out there. I would almost guess they're going to need a lift station. I mean, it might be cheaper. I don't know if it'd be cheaper boring under 30. I mean, if you could hook up over, I know there's some manholes over by the Oxford Junction Road, and I'm not sure how deep they are, but you'd have to bore under 30 and then come back west along Highway 30 to hook into them. We just have to look into it and see what the depths are. And all right, I'm assuming they're on septic now.
I'm really not sure what they have. They've mentioned the word holding tank, but I'm not really sure what that means. I'm not.
That's what would be septic if it's holding tank. So, yeah. That's just something we'd have to go pull manholes and see what the depth is at the closest manhole and go from there.
Budget wise, though, it probably, given it would just serve the ambulance building, is probably not something that would be on a priority list, especially given our I&I problems that currently exist. I imagine it would be something probably outside of a 10-year future look, just to give you some kind of idea, Brittany, on where, at least where it is on a priority list from an infrastructure perspective.
Absolutely. The board just asked me to bring it up at the council meeting and find out what the options were.
Yeah, Levi's right. It's probably not feasible to do. I mean, and I would guess as low as it is there, that you're gonna have a lot of problems down, at the south end of town's way higher than that end of town, and they have problems there. So I would almost guess you're gonna have problems worse down there.
Okay. Good to know. I will pass that on to the board at our meeting in January and see how they want to proceed. And then with our EMT class that we're hosting in January, we do have 2 members of our service that are wanting to take that. And we looked at how we were paying for those things in the past. And it really wasn't doing us any benefit to have them pay for the class upfront and then them pass their boards and get their EMT license and immediately refund it and have them serve 1 year. There's really nothing in it that says that they'll serve their year and they've gotten their money back. So as a whole, as a group, we talked about it to discuss what our options really were. And what we came up with is us paying 50% of it upfront for them and them investing 50% of their money into it, them getting their EMT license, serving on the service for 1 year, and then us reimbursing them their 50%. That way they're still invested over $1,000. We have more of a chance of them serving out their full year on the service before they decide to go elsewhere if they do. So we currently have Kyle working on a contract for us for that. And then we will have them sign it and then we'll present it at the January meeting for those that will be taking the EMT class that will be paying for 50% upfront. And then we are looking at going to a paramedic level service next year, probably around March is what we're looking at this time. Our medical director is on board. Apparently she has been on board for a while, but we didn't have a paramedic on the service, which is one of the state of Iowa's requirements in order to go to a paramedic level. I am a paramedic on the service now acting. So we are now eligible for a paramedic level service. It does cost us around $6,000 in order to go up to a paramedic level service. This was brought up at our board meeting, and a lot of the costs will be covered by the board for the equipment that we'll need to purchase in order to go up to that level. And then we'll just need to purchase medications, narcotic medications to go up to a paramedic level, cardiac medications. Jones Regional has been contacted about signing on for a pharmacy agreement with them so that we can get the hospital's discount, which would save us a lot of money on these medications instead of going through Boundtree. And they're on board with signing a contract. So we just need to get to that point where we're ready to sign the contract, and we're not quite there yet. At this time, not being a paramedic level service, a majority of our calls were tiering with a paramedic. Each time that we tier with a paramedic, we lose $46 to $54 just by tiering with a paramedic. That doesn't include any cost for medications that we've already administered, depreciation on our equipment, or any of the supplies that we utilize, IV supplies and starting an IV, fluids that we give, using our thermometer or checking a blood glucose on a patient. Those are all things that we're not going to get reimbursed for when we tier with the paramedic if the paramedic doesn't do something on the call. So that's what we're looking at. That will greatly increase the amount of revenue that we're able to retain on those calls. I was able to get a hold of someone with Medicare to get how much we still owe left over from the Bob Rouse calls from 2017 to 2018. We're now down to a balance of less than $400, and we haven't got all of our current bills for Medicare billed. So by the end of this month, we will start receiving revenue from Medicare calls again, which will be great for us. Since I joined the service, I joined it, they had taken from January 1st to September 15th, they had taken 58 calls. From September 16th, when I started in my position, to currently today, we've taken 45 calls. So we've almost doubled it in 90 days. We're almost at the same level. Sorry, not doubled it, but almost at the same level of calls that they had prior to me joining in 256 days. In 90 days, we've almost done the same amount. So we're meeting our calls, except for on the weekends, we don't really have coverage, and I work at Mercy in Iowa City during that time. So we're hoping with the EMT class, we'll be able to give that weekend coverage, and then we will have 24/7 coverage. Other than that, I think that's all that I have. Does anybody have any questions for me?
You said that you had a new member?
We do. Morgan Benson started with us. Tomorrow will be her first shift with us.
Deb, we as a council have to approve that?
Yes.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve Megan Benson as a new member of the ambulance.
Morgan Benson.
Okay.
So moved. Levi.
Second, Jim.
Motion by Levi, second by Jim. Roll call vote. Jim?
Aye.
Levi?
Aye.
Rod?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. So, all right, that's great news. Anybody have any other questions for Brittany? All right, thanks, Brittany.
Thank you.
Okay, discussion with the library director, Nikki Shield. Are you with us tonight?
I am. Hello.
All right.
All right. So I don't have a whole lot to add tonight. I kind of just wanted to jump on to say hi. I'm still kind of getting a feel for things. I'm just a couple weeks in now. So we're not obviously doing a whole lot of programming at the moment. So there's not a whole lot to say there with COVID and everything and it being a small space. Yeah, I'm honestly, there wasn't any overlap with me and Ashley. So I haven't had anyone there to train me. So it's been a lot of trial by fire, a lot of jumping off the deep end and kind of just figuring things out on my own. So yeah, that's about it. I just kind of wanted to say hi and I'm glad to be a part of the city. And yeah, if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. I don't know what Ashley would usually talk about. I know Deb mentioned that she would talk about programming. So if there's anything else you guys want to hear about or want me to add, please let me know. And I will be happy to. So.
I see on the agenda here, it says something about discussing who should contact the contractor to make repairs to the library.
Oh, yes. I believe that was something Jamie from the board had been talking to Deb about. There was still some storm damage in the roof from the derecho. And I don't think anybody realized it was doing anything until it was actually my first day. And it had been raining all day and we noticed that there was water coming in one of the walls. So, I know Jamie had sent some people up there to get a repair in place, just kind of temporarily to take care of it. So we didn't have more water coming in. But I think they don't really know quite if we should handle it on our end or if like an insurance claim has already been filed, if that money has already come in to the city, who should be handling actually trying to get bids on the repair itself, like the official repair. So I don't know a whole lot about it. That's about as much as I know. Jamie has kind of been handling it up until now. So.
Deb, do you know anything about, did we gotten any insurance monies for the library?
Yes, we did get money for it. Yes. I think it was over $5,000 for the library's portion of that we got in.
It was, and I've contacted several contractors and next spring is the answer from all of them.
Right, that's pretty standard.
Me and Will went up and I put a shingle where there was a 2x4 sticking out. We had actually temporarily repaired it. Well, not repaired it, but we didn't think it would leak, but it did. So if you go by the library and see one gray shingle in that brown roof, That's where we fixed it. So it shouldn't be leaking anymore. As far as the rest of it, yeah, it's just hard to get a contractor now. It's
Yeah,
Right.
I don't think they were too worried about, they knew it was going to take time. I think they were
Yeah.
more so was supposed to do what. So they didn't want to not doing something if we were supposed to be doing something. So
no, we've been pursuing it, but
okay,
everybody we call is the same answer next
Okay.
spring. So,
I'll let them know that.
all right.
Okay.
All right, anybody have any other questions for Nikki? All right, thanks and welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, discussion with Fire Chief. Mr. Birkin, did you figure out how to get on the meeting?
I believe I'm here.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Look at you go.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So. Okay, haven't been to a council meeting for a while. Jerick was always relaying all the information. One of the questions we got with the new building, since it's on city property and the trucks are all city equipment, whether in the past with the current building we're using, the city's always paid the gas and electric up there. Over the years, the association has helped out by paying for half of the new doors up there and half of the concrete out front. With us, with the city being taken over our current spot in time, we figure the cost savings of the other sheds not burning gas will easily offset and pay for the efficiency of our new building. I would figure it will be the new building will burn less than half of the fuel that the two other buildings currently do. So we were wondering about getting it set up for billing, whether it be through the city into the, because it's going to be on city property, whether the insurance would be as cheap as a city building. So.
Given it's our building, I mean, it's ultimately going to be a city building and it's a city service that's supported by volunteers. I don't know why we wouldn't pay for the utility bills unless there's some other precedent that I don't understand. It seems like it's our building, we'll pay for it.
And basically we're doing that now anyway.
Right. So.
Yeah, the association, we've fundraised for all the donations to build the building and everything. And when we get all done, it'll be, we have no interest in saying it's the association's building, since it'll be on city property and everything. Hopefully it'll be a great advancement for the city as far as efficiency and everything.
Yeah, I guess I don't know if I need to make a motion or if it's just default. We'll pay the utility bills for the building.
And the insurance.
Yeah.
So if that's on the agenda, we can make a motion for that, can't we, Deb?
Yeah, I think it'd be better if we did make a motion so we'd have it official.
Okay.
Right.
Well,
Okay.
I'll make a motion. We pay the insurance and the utility bills for the new fire building.
We got a second?
That's
James.
Ron. Oh,
Go ahead, Ron.
Ron?
okay. Yeah, I'll second it.
All right, motion by Levi, second by Ron. Roll call, Jim,
Aye.
Levi,
Aye.
Rod,
Aye.
Ron,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well, so motion carries. All right, anything else, Randy?
No, 2020 has been a challenge with the derecho and everything. Currently, a little hold back on the building, but hopefully we get some nice weather and we'll be able to continue. So thanks for your support. We appreciate it.
You bet, thank you. Okay, discussion with police. Well, next month we will have a police, well, hopefully. Jim or Levi, do you want to?
Rick is on the phone as well.
What's that?
Rick is on the phone. I'm assuming iPhone Rick is probably Rick Scott, if he wants to say anything.
Oh,
yeah, I'm here.
All right. Well, I guess if you want to introduce yourself, Rick, you're welcome to.
I'm Rick Scott. Was accepted as your new police chief in Clarence. I been in law enforcement now for about 34 years. I guess I talked to Jim today. I gave my 2 weeks notice for my former employees, so my first day will be the 29th down there.
So just to maybe for clarity's sake, then the sheriff's department will be covering our community until which time Rick can get started full time. Is that the assumption we're running under?
I would think so. Deb, is that right?
Yes, as far as I know, that's the plan.
Okay.
Okay.
No, and maybe to add on, so Jim and I interviewed Rick, and we as a council got an opportunity to speak with him, and I'm really looking forward to having an experienced officer in town. I think it's going to be a good way to create that continuance from Brian and on to Rick. So I'm excited to get him on board and like to welcome on behalf of the city.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Yeah,
Okay,
Jim,
anything else, Rick? Oh, go ahead, Jim.
No, I was just saying that when I talked to Rick, he says he's already got his fingerprints and the requirements by the state. So
right,
he's like you said, he's an experienced officer, and I look forward to him to be here. So he'll definitely have everything in line by the time the December 29th comes around. And the good part is that's New Year's Eve week, so we'll have an officer here on New Year's Eve.
That's a good thing, because after this year, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of partying to see this year out.
Yeah.
All righty. Anything
Rick
else,
also
Rick?
likes the deer hunt, so.
Oh, well, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Okay, if you don't have anything else, Rick, welcome and congratulations. Oh, discussion
Thank you very
with
much.
P&Z. You bet. Steve, you got anything for P&Z?
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Okay, well, how about Public Works?
Public Works. I'm tired of FEMA. And
Gotta love the government.
I'll just leave that at that. But we're still dealing with the company out of Ames with the water plant from the power surge. I finally got a return call today. I've been calling them every day for the last 5 days, and finally got a return call. They're going to be here tomorrow to get that all back up where it needs to be. And I've also been getting a lot of calls from the insurance company asking what's going on because of that. But that's a good thing. As far as the garage door and stuff up there, we decided to go with Cedar County garage doors. They were cheaper than Dan's, and we just got a return call from them last week that we're on their list, but they're so far behind that. So we'll just keep doing it manually, I guess, for a while. But we've actually kind of moved everything down to the new shop. So we're going there in the morning instead of the watershed like we always did. So other than that, just been cleaning up equipment and plowed a little snow over the weekend. That's about it. Oh, we do have a sewer pump that is not working at the sewer plant. So if everybody's okay with it, we can pull it out and probably take it down to Mississippi Valley Pump and have them go through it. Be cheaper than having them come up here and do it.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
All right.
It makes sense.
Anybody else?
It makes sense to do to me.
Yeah.
Right. Gotta have it regardless.
Yeah. I've worked with Mississippi Valley Pump in the past, and they do good work, and I mean, they will come up and pull it, but I don't know why we can't get it out of there and load it on a truck and haul it down to Bettendorf and have them work on it. So I don't know. It'd be nice to budget for it, but if the other one goes down, it probably wouldn't be so nice to budget for it. So
No. I'd say pull it.
yeah. And
We
I
don't need a
actually
motion
tried,
for that, do we, Deb?
Well, no, it's not on the agenda, so no.
Okay.
I actually have worked on them in the past, but we tried doing some stuff to it and we busted a bolt off of the top. It hasn't been, I don't know what I want to say. It hasn't been worked on for a while from what I can see. So take it down there and let them beat their brains out on it.
All right. Anybody have any questions for Steve?
You've been doing a good job, Steve. This is Ron. Just want to let you know that we appreciate all the stuff you've done through this summer. It's been
Thanks. Yeah. We're still, like I said, the FEMA stuff is just like non-ending. I've been trying to keep up with it, and Deb's probably thinking I'm not doing anything, but I'm trying. So it's with all the other stuff you have to do and try to do that too. It's pretty interesting.
Steve, it's Brad.
Yeah.
Are you supposed to be doing that, or is Deb supposed to be doing that?
There's probably some stuff that Deb can't do on it. I mean, as far as horsepower on vehicles and stuff and hours on vehicles. I mean, a lot of it's based off of our time cards. So it's she can do what she can do, and I'll just have to do what she can't do, I guess.
Anything else for Steve? All righty, keep up the good work.
All right.
Okay, discussion with the city clerk.
Okay. Well, all the monthly reports are done and they're in my office. So I don't know if we're gonna have Steve look those over, or if Bart, you'll need to come in and look those over and initial and date all the reports.
He's sitting in your office right now, right?
Yes.
Oh, well then after the swearing in, guess what he can do? Okay, that it from you?
Well, I'm like Steve about the FEMA application. I feel the same way about it. It's, you know, I'm tired of dealing with it too. I attended a meeting on it last week with Homeland Security and FEMA and got, you know, more information about what we're going to need to do about getting bids for taking down all the trees that need to be taken down yet. And, you know, there's a lot to it, and there's a lot of different kind of details that FEMA is going to require us to do in order to get those bids. And there is some software that they recommended that we could get for phones in order to mark the trees. And so I'm wondering if we could just go ahead and get that on one of the guys' city phones so we can get, because they're gonna have to take a picture of every tree. And, you know, there's all kinds of details that they want. So it's been frustrating with FEMA.
At the end of the day, here's my thought. What we're probably going to get out of FEMA for the money that we're spending, man hours, woman hour wise. It's just like, are you kidding me right now? And I dealt with it in Stanwood back in 08 when we had the ice storm. And yeah, we got some money, but the time and money that we spent getting it, I don't know if it's worth it. It probably is in this situation because it's a pretty big disaster, but it's just like these people make you jump through hoops and do backflips and cartwheels, and it's unbelievable what they want. It really is.
It is. It is. And, you know, we have our jobs that we have to do every day. And, you know, that takes up our time. And I don't know where we're supposed to come up with this extra time that we're supposed to spend, you know, doing all of these things. It's frustrating.
So what's the software that you want for the phones?
It's just an app that
Oh.
the guy recommended that you can mark up, like you take a picture and then you can mark right up on the picture and it shows the GPS and you can put the address on there and, you know, make notes about each tree because they need a picture of every single tree. And there's, I believe it was 207 trees on the list that the DNR, we got a spreadsheet back from the DNR that lists the trees that need to come down and the ones that just need to get trimmed. And the DNR list has the GPS coordinates on it, but it doesn't have the addresses, you know, where the tree actually is. So it's a process.
What is it, like $10 a month, Deb?
And I don't know.
Yeah,
It's probably not even that much.
but
I don't have a problem with that. Does anybody else on the council have an
No,
issue with them getting that?
I think if it'll make life easier for both of them, I say let's just do it.
thing of it is, they're gonna come up with something else right after they give us that. I mean, that's kind of how it's been. It's just like, okay, how much dirt are you gonna move to put a signpost in? Where are you taking the dirt? And it's actually unbelievable the amount of stuff that they want to document. And yeah,
It is.
it's crazy.
That is the federal government for you.
Uh-huh.
That's why we have no money.
Right. And at the end of the day, we're going to get money, but is it going to offset the time that we're putting in it right now and the time we're going to be putting in it? I don't know. After 2008 in Stanwood, I told the city clerk there, I said, I'll never deal with them. I ain't going to say what I want to say, but it's
even more difficult now because at least then they would come to town and help you go through everything. Well, now nobody's coming to town. Everything's just virtual.
Right. It's all,
yeah, it's difficult to get answers to questions. And
you're basically talking to politicians, the way I feel. I mean, they're not open-minded. The trees are in the boulevard or they're not in the boulevard, or that tree's not in the boulevard. Well, it's between the sidewalk and the street. That's the boulevard. You know, no, that's not the boulevard. So it's frustrating.
It really is frustrating. It is.
My wife wonders why my alcohol consumption's gone up.
That's because it's deer season.
No.
That's about all.
Anyway, I'm done venting.
Yeah. We do have a couple more bills. There's a bill from the Iowa Firefighters Association for $286. It's for their membership. And there are two bills from the Cedar County Sheriff's Reserve. These are the first bills we've gotten from them. And the bill from October is for $800, and the bill from November is for $800. So we'll probably be getting one more of those for the month of December.
Okay, entertain a motion to approve the bills.
Jim, so moved.
Levi, second.
Motion by Jim, second by Levi. Roll call. Jim,
Aye.
Levi,
Aye.
Rod,
Aye.
Ron,
Aye.
and I am an aye as well. Motion carries. Okay, correspondence and communications. Cedar County Pioneer Cemetery Commission application for Veterans Cemetery Project.
So this is the same application we get each year. In 2009, we had applied for one and gotten it. And we had Eric Johan repair several veterans' stones at the cemetery. And so we haven't had a project since then. So just, you know, that we have it. So if anybody has an idea for a project, it has to be for the veterans' graves at the cemetery. And that's all the correspondence I had this month.
Okay, we'll go on to new business. Do you want me to skip the appointment for last, Deb?
That's up to you.
Yeah, we'll save the best for last.
Okay.
All right, let's do the resolution to approve annual urban renewal report fiscal year 1920.
All right, so this is our annual report that we have to file each year. The details are the revenue for this year for TIF was $25,437, and we paid out the rebate of $16,737. We have a balance in our LMI fund, which is the low to moderate income, of $29,485. And so we have a remainder of $135,965 in our revenue obligations for TIF. We may want to start thinking about what to do with that low to moderate income money that we have. That has to be spent on some kind of a program for, you know, people with low to moderate income. So that's just something we might want to start thinking about, what to do with that money. But that's about it.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve that resolution.
Yes.
Okay, I entertain the motion to approve the annual urban renewal report fiscal year 1920.
I'll make the motion, Levi.
Second, Jim.
Motion by Levi, second by Jim. Roll call. Jim,
Aye.
Levi,
Aye.
Rod,
Aye.
Ron,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. Motion carries, or resolution carries. Okay, resolution for pay of new library director.
So the resolution is just our normal resolution we always have to pass when we hire somebody new. And she will be, it's for Nikki Shields, will be making $13 an hour as a regular part-time employee.
I'll make a motion to accept the resolution.
Second, Jim.
Motion by Levi, second by Jim. Roll call. Jim,
Aye.
Levi,
Aye.
Rod,
Aye.
Ron,
Aye.
and I am an aye as well. Resolution carries. Okay, now the big one. We need a motion to approve the resolution for appointment of new mayor to serve until the city election in November of 2021.
I
Which
will
will
make
be,
a motion.
okay, motion by
Rod.
Rod. Yep,
Ron,
Levi,
I'll
I'll
sec-
second.
Oh,
who seconded it?
Levi did. I
Okay,
got
motion.
pulled over Ron.
Okay, motion by Rod, second by Levi. Roll call. Jim,
Aye.
Levi,
Aye.
Rod,
Aye.
Ron,
aye.
and I am an aye as well. Resolution carries. Okay, Dr. Bixler.
Well, Bart and council members, I got a couple questions here for you before we do anything, go any farther.
You can't back out now.
We talked about that before, that I, help mow, help with garbage, recycle, dumpsters and everything, figuring out a way. How are you going to work that to get compensated for that? See, and we talked about it. I don't know what the right answer is, and Kyle was involved with it, and Deb was involved with it, and we never really come up to a good solution. So I was wondering what the council's feeling is on this. Don't everybody jump in at once.
Well, Jim, the only thing that we've got probably some state regulations or something that I'm assuming that says something about it. So I would assume that Kyle has probably looked into that, and I would imagine we'll have to go by whatever the state regulations are.
I can jump in on the state code just to let you guys know where it stands. It's pretty clear. Unfortunately, state law prevents a person from being a paid employee of the city while also being an elected public official. And we talked about the fact that he's appointed instead of elected, but he's still being appointed to serve an elected official position. So I don't feel like there's anything, under the state law that we can do to pay him as a city employee. So if there were other methods of making something work, I'd be up for you guys to decide. But as far as just he's mowing for the city for $12 an hour, whatever it was, we can't do that.
The mowing part of it, we could correct me if I'm wrong, but we had talked about, there's money in the Raymond Coonrod Trust. Would they be able to write him a check, like one lump? If he figured out basically how many hours on average he works during the summer or up until when the Angie or whoever gets out of school, could they write him a one-time lump sum check out of the Raymond Conrad Trust for the mowing part? I realize the garbage, there's not much we can probably do about that for the garbage and the recycle, but.
The Raymond Conrad Trust has language in it that allows for the trustees to use the money to benefit. Somebody talking over me? Okay. Yeah. The Raymond Conrad Trust has language in it that allows the trustees to pay the money to the city of Clarence to maintain and beautify the parks, which would be the mowing of the parks. So
right.
I think it would be allowed if the trustees of the Raymond Conrad Trust, which would be Shirley Mustard and Mary Frazee,
right,
were okay with that. Because right now, what they're essentially doing is writing a check to the city for the maintenance on the parks or beautification of the parks. Correct. What you could do is present to them, here's Steve's 3-year average for mowing the park.
Right.
Why don't we pay him that directly from the trust, take that amount off what you give to the city for the park maintenance, and that would essentially get Steve where he needs to be, but also wouldn't be him getting paid as a city employee. The only thing to consider, and I I don't want to be the one to speak on this. You know, if he's acting as a city employee, there's workman's comp and then liability issues that I think Bob Niermeyer would be a better person to ask than I would be, as far as how he views that with Steve operating the city mower, you know, in the city property.
Well, I mean, if we can't solve the issue, I mean, it sounds like long term, it's probably not a solution to have Raymond Conrad continue to pay Steve out of that particular set of money. Is it? I mean, meaning, if Steve's not going to be able to continue to be mayor long term, are we not better to just say, well, fine, I guess we go to an election now if it's something that he just won't be able to do?
Well, that's, I guess, the problem we have in Clarence with a lot of this stuff. You know, we need Steve to mow, but we also kind of need someone to be the mayor. So the fact that he's willing to fulfill
I'd love
both
him to be the
roles-
mayor, but
yeah, and that's, you know, I don't know. I don't want to be the one that says, oh, he's got to choose one or the other, but at the same time, the law is pretty clear. So unless you want to figure out a way to skirt it and permanently skirt it, then, you know, you got to kind of pick one role or the other is the way the code's written.
Well, you know, you're right, Kyle. Can you hear me? Everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. See, the law is written, or the policy is written for a town of, say, 200,000 people. And it's the same for a city of 200 people, you know? Well, I'm sure you got other towns around where you got, say it's a 200 people and they got a park and they got a, however they're doing it. I don't know. I mean, there's got to be a way to do this, but the law or the policy is the same no matter what your population is. And the thing is, as I look at it, is like, okay, I'm helping mow the park. The only thing is, we got city hall, we got water treatment, you got library, you got the 3 lots on the east end of town, you got the sewer plant, we got cemetery. So we do a lot more mowing than just the park. But the park, of course, is the biggest, you know, and that's the one that we mow. And not that we don't take pride in everything we mow, but we always try to keep the park looking as good as we can. So, you know, I mean, it's hard to break those hours down, I guess, and talk to, you know, Shirley Mustard and say, well, look, Shirley, you know, he's working 80 hours a month or 100 hours a month, because it's not accurate with the other all the other lots added in. So you'd have to kind of break it down and figure out how many hours that you really spend at the park. So,
Hey, Bart, it's Rod. Bart,
Yeah.
it's Rod.
Yep.
I have another thing to add to that. I mean, we're going to be missing a helper for the garbage truck, the recycling and snow plowing. If somebody can't come to work, then where do we get the rest of the money at? We're going to lose an extra employee when it's needed.
I'm going to throw a crazy idea out there. And Kyle's going to tell me it's probably too crazy. Could we temporarily rewrite the duties of mayor to include garbage truck and mowing and all these other things, and just pay him a monthly salary appropriate with those additional duties?
That was actually one of the other ideas I had when I talked to Steve and Deb about this. But the problem is, I think there's some rules to changing the mayor's pay grade as far as the timing of the year and when we're doing it. I don't know if you can change it mid-term. And then she had a couple other issues that she knows more about than I do, as far as it'd be like changing counselor mayor pay during your terms. And I don't know if you're allowed to do that or not.
Technically, he's not. We could go back and we could take our resolution back, and we would be the one voting on the change prior to him taking office.
It has to be done by an ordinance amendment. It would have to be on the agenda. And it isn't. And we
Right.
don't,
So it's gonna happen next month or in a special session.
and we don't have the time. We're on a time limit to a point. I mean,
Couldn't you back pay him though? I mean, if you got the ordinance in effect, could you go back and pay him for the time that he put in?
no, we wouldn't be able to change the compensation until after the next election.
The other problem is with this plan is, you know, you're flirting with disaster there when you're trying to do things that are basically to inadvertently go around what's exactly written in the code. You know, I don't want as city attorney advise the town to go down the path of let's change the mayor's pay scale to include the duties of garbage pickup on an occasional, you know, Wednesday and mowing the park and the cemetery. Cause that's, if the state code wanted to allow those exceptions, they'd have written them in there. And
Yeah.
that's,
No, I agree.
the Raymond Conrad Trust thing, I think is that's a completely legal plan because you have a trust that, you know, as long as it works for insurance liability and workers' comp purposes, and Niermeyer says it's okay, that plan would be the more legal plan.
And then, so going forward, let's say we want, Steve wanted to remain mayor and Steve wants to remain doing these duties, then it would just have to be something that gets worked out year to year with the Raymond Conrad Trust to make sure he gets paid for that year of duties.
Yeah, I think it'd be a conversation with them. And I guess my thought would be, because we're in a situation here now where it's this election cycle for the mayor's position, my understanding is it comes around this upcoming November. So we're essentially talking about just the year of 2021. By the time Steve gets appointed, we've got 1 year of mowing. So I guess, maybe by next November, Steve's decided, hey, I really love this mayor thing. I can give up mowing for it. Or maybe he's thinking, I want out of this deal anyways. I'd rather go back to mowing. But maybe it'll answer itself given 11 months on a year-to-year basis.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
You're right there, Kyle. You never know. But it's tough to fill this position that, if Will or Steve or, they say, hey, can you do recycle? Can you do garbage? Can you do dumpsters? It's tough to find a guy to do that that's able to do it. I mean, they're lucky to have a guy like me that's done it, for a while, that I know, what I'm doing, I guess, and it's tough to find somebody that can do that, that's going to be around at a moment's notice or whatever, so I like to help them guys. I enjoy helping them guys. It gives me something to do, and it's just, I help them guys out. Not that I'm real crazy about throwing garbage, but it's got to be done, and like I said, the mowing in the summer, we'll have Don Johnson and Angie, so the hours for mowing for me will not be near what they have been. So
I think the big thing is like covering for vacations, or Will got COVID here this 2 months ago, 3 months ago. Steve filled in for him, and who's to say I don't break a leg or Will doesn't break a leg? Who are you going to get for 3 months to cover? I mean, I realize the laws are the laws, but I guess maybe we need to look at something that if he can't do it, you probably should find somebody that can.
Well, I would say this, and this is completely up to you guys, whatever you guys want to do here, but we should talk to probably Shirley Mustard and make sure that they want to go this route, and then probably talk to Bob Niermeyer and see where we stand there. Now, we've had in the past had some oh, what was it? Some kids that had to do community service. And if they were 18, they could run power tools and stuff like that. And we had one of them a couple years ago, and he helped me mow a little bit. And so there again, you're not thinking about it, but what if he would have stuck his foot under the mower, and here he is, he's just doing community service. How's insurance going to work on a deal like that? You see what I'm saying? You don't know what's going to happen. You can't say, oh, well, it'll never happen, because you don't know that. So I think we need to talk to Shirley Mustard, and we need to talk to Bob Niermeyer before we go any farther.
So it sounds like then we as a council, I don't know how this works, we probably need to withdraw our resolution until we get some decision on what we can and go forward with. I don't know if that's a possibility.
That's what I would be more comfortable with, knowing where we're at. And like I said, then you got to deal with the garbage, recycle, and dumpsters, and stuff like that. But, that's not a big deal unless, like you said, unless somebody breaks their leg or something like that. They take off a week here, a week there. No big deal. I mean, I don't mind volunteering my time, So but if it's gonna go for, like I said, if somebody breaks a leg or they got to have back surgery or whatever, who knows? Then it becomes a different issue. But like I said, I don't mind volunteering to cover vacations or guys sick for a day or whatever. No big deal.
You saying Bart's going to be the mayor yet, or are you going to be the mayor?
Bart's going to
remain. Well, that's it. We'd have to
election soon.
Jim, I got a question. Jim, I got a question. This primarily is to Deb. Deb, how much time have we got though? I mean, if we take back the resolution, how much time have we got statutorily?
I don't actually know. I'd have to, get into my office and figure that out. We did put in the notice that we were going to be appointing tonight, on December 14th at this council meeting.
Right.
That's the notice that we put in the paper. You have to publish notice before you can do any of this stuff.
But I thought we had to fill it out with it. I thought we had to fill the position within 60 or 90 days.
90 days.
Yes.
Or have an election.
Yes.
So how much time have we got left?
I don't actually know. It was
probably less than 30 days, isn't it?
Yes, I think so. I think, yeah. I don't think we have time to go through the whole process again.
Can do a special election then.
That's
yeah. That's
what we're heading to. Yeah, you got to get somebody to file for office.
Yeah, our only other besides appointing is to hold a special election, which will cost the city, $2,000, and that is only going to be until the end of the year.
Well, how about if like you said, you got to publish it in the paper, though. You say, Deb, or not? If you're going to have an election, correct?
Well, if we're going to have an election, that's the whole process. I mean, it takes a couple months just for the county to put together a special election.
Okay.
I've got a thought here. The mowing issue is not going to come up until the grass starts growing, which is about 4 or 5 months away. If they appoint Steve as the mayor tonight, we don't really have to address the mowing issue for 4 months. And if for whatever reason the mowing issue doesn't work out with Shirley, or maybe the city finds somebody else to mow, or whatever happens, he could step down just like Jarek did. And then at that point you could do the special election, or maybe you're within 90 days to November, or you reappoint, appoint somebody else. But if Steve accepts the job now, knowing mowing's not an issue for 4 months, you know, at least the city's fulfilled its obligation to get someone appointed. We've got a mayor in place. And then either Shirley steps up with the trust, or maybe we figure out a different plan in the next 4 months.
Hey, Kyle, this is Rod.
Yep.
How does that work with the mowing deal? But that's not going to cover the garbage or the recycling and all that stuff, though. How are we going to compensating for that?
Well, the way I understood what Steve said in his last statement, if it was just a hop on the garbage truck once or twice thing, he was just going to kind of volunteer. But if it was, you know, the mowings, when we know he's going to rack up 40 hours a week.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. I would donate that time until that'll buy us some time. Okay. So we can decide what we're going to do here. And like if we appoint tonight, that's fine. And then that'll buy us some time. And then if we can't find a solution to our mowing problem, then maybe we'd have, you know, then maybe it'd be a deal like just I'd step down, you know. We'll just see. Like for right now, though, if you want, you can appoint, and I will volunteer that time for garbage, recycle, and dumpsters, and plowing snow or flagging funerals or whatever, I guess, you know, because it's not that big of a deal usually. So
if Will or somebody hurts his back where it's going to be an everyday thing, maybe then we got to reconsider. But at this point, I think that gets us through 4 or 5 months.
Well, at least gets us through another 3 months, even if he resigned tomorrow.
That's
Well, you can get by until you know, mid-April usually. So
okay,
you know, or first of April. So
I like that idea. I think it at least gives us some time to do what we need to do. Plus, we've already appointed him as the mayor, so we don't have to go back on anything.
Yes.
And
I'm with you, Levi.
you're going to be the mayor, so you can tell us we can't take off for garbage and recycling.
There you go.
That's right.
I think that's the whole purpose of that state law.
You're taking me off of Mayor Pro Tem. Rod can be that.
Well, that helps you out a little bit too, doesn't it, Bart?
Absolutely.
If we went another month, it's not going to work out for you either, right?
Not really.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You'll be refereeing everything else. So.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe he could donate his paycheck for this month for mowing and recycling.
Boy, I can't.
Listen, you talk about FEMA. I'll talk to you about people in the crowd. It's kind of the same boat. Although with this COVID, there's only about 40 people instead of 140. Okay, we're going to do this thing, Stephen?
If you want to do it, let's do it.
All right. Okay, raise your right hand and repeat after me.
Okay.
I,
See
Steve.
my hand?
Yes, sir. I, Steve
Okay.
Bixler,
I, Stephen Bixler,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
to
the best of my ability discharge all the duties of the office of mayor in the city of Clarence, Iowa, as now or hereafter required by law. All right. Congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
All righty. Well, I look forward for how long we ever do this to working with the council and working with.
You'll do fine.
So we'll see. And if I might need you guys as assistants to guide me along. So
We're here for that.
we'll
Okay,
see
I
what
guess we're
happens.
down. Yep, we're down to council persons' concerns.
Well, I've got one other thing quick.
Okay, have at it.
Ronnie, that Outlot A that you were going to deed to the city out there in the Robinson edition, I've got the paperwork ready at my office. So I need you and Kathy to stop by and sign. And then Steve, I also need you to stop by. I don't think you stopped, did you?
Yeah, I did. I signed something.
Well, Ron and Kathy haven't signed yet, so I'm going to need Steve to sign.
Okay, because yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I signed that a long time ago. But yeah, okay. Well, then Steven can do it.
Well, Steve, stop in, and Ron and Kathy stop in.
Okay.
Okay, that's all I got.
Okay, council persons' concerns. Jim,
Nothing.
Levi,
No, just thank Steve for stepping up to take on the mayor role and appreciate all he's done for the community over time. So looking forward to working with you.
absolutely. Rod,
Yes, thanks for doing that, Steve. I have a question too on the time cards for the guys. Deb, does our city software keep track of their comp time, vacation?
It keeps track of their vacation, not their comp time. They keep track of their comp time on their time cards.
I think that probably that needs to be taken care of because of the audit deal, because there's no supervision on that, correct?
Supervision on their comp time.
Yeah, and the time cards, that's what that guy was telling us, that needs to be done. So if they got a time clock and punched it, you can put that on their time cards, can't you?
A time clock.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know how those work. I've never used one before, but I mean, we'd have to look into that. I don't know the answer to your question.
So your computer system doesn't take care of their sick time, comp time, and pay?
We keep track of their sick time and their vacation time, but we've never kept track of their comp time in the computer system.
Is that capable?
There is like a time card part that you can, like module that you can buy. I think it's like $3,000 though. We looked into it earlier, but I think we would probably be able to track their comp time on what we have now. I don't know. I just have to look into it because we've never done it before.
I was just saying that just for the simple fact is the auditor, we're going to get in trouble again next year.
I'm all for time clock. I don't have a problem with it.
There's a meeting with the governor, myself, the land commission, and the board of market equities next week.
That's all I have to say, Bart.
okay. Ron, you have any concerns?
No.
Okay, and I just want to echo the same thing Levi said and thank Steve for stepping up and in the role as mayor, he's stepped up for quite a while now for the town, but hopefully, well, not hopefully, you'll enjoy it. I know you will. So appreciate it. And with that, if nobody has anything else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Jim, so moved.
Levi second.
Levi, okay. All right.
You going to steal that from Ron again, Levi?
No. I think I heard Ron.
Okay. Motion by Jim, second by Ron. Roll call vote. Jim?
Aye.
Levi?
Aye.
Rod?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
And I am an aye as well. Meeting is adjourned. Thanks, Levi, for putting on the show again.
You're welcome.